Just a couple of days ago, I was doing a report on something else when, again, breaking news, a shooting at a high school in Colorado. That shooter dead of self-inflicted gunshot wound, and a beautiful young girl in that case was severely injured. And then it was just this past Sunday that I was sitting at home watching television, just trying to relax. And the show I was watching was interrupted by, again, reports of a shooting in a public place, this time at a mall in New Jersey. What the hell is going on in our country? Every single day, it seems, or every other day, there is a shooting in a public place. And some of them horrifically turn into mass shootings. You know what I'm talking about. We're talking about schools. We're talking about malls. We're talking about movie theaters. There is a sickness, a toxic situation in our country. John Lieberman, HLN contributor and investigator. It's not my imagination. It's happening more and more.
No, it is.
We're going to talk about our other issues, but this, you know, we get so sucked into the details of these particular events that we're not looking at the big picture. Something's wrong.
And part of the big picture, Jane, is this. These men and women at this medical center got up this morning, they went to work to take care of others, and now they're having to take care of each other because of this shooting there. And we do have breaking news, Jane. The deputy police chief there has just come out and said that one person, a victim, has died in this shooting. So that's two total now. That's the suspect, and now one victim has died, and it looks like two others are injured. And yeah, look, the media gets a lot of criticism for sensationalizing these things, but we're not making this up. It is happening more and more. And frankly, when we become a society when you can't go to work and feel safe, we have major problems. And again, I will confirm that the deputy police chief is confirming that one victim is dead and the suspect killed himself and at least two others injured. And it appears that the shooter was in this building for almost 15 minutes. So can you imagine that 15 minutes of horror in that building that you're looking at right now on your screen?
Gene Zaino, a professor of political science at Iona College, HuffPo contributor. I will say it again. There is something wrong in our culture right now. I mean, this is the holiday season. We are supposed to be getting ready, and I know there's people of all denominations and all faiths, and we're celebrating all sorts of different things, but among them, the birth of Christ, a celebration is supposed to be about peace, turning the other cheek, nonviolence, and what is happening with our country?
Well, I'll tell you, Jane, one of the things that is happening is that we have a government that isn't working. The number I have is 30,000 people have died of gun violence since Sandy Hook. Can you imagine 30,000 people of gun violence? Now, that is astounding, and yet Congress has done nothing on gun control, on mental health, even on issues of gaming and entertainment that may be contributing to this violence. So a huge piece of this is the fact that we have a do-nothing Congress that has passed the lowest number of bills of any Congress in 40 years. They're home for the holidays with their family now, at least the House and the Senate soon, and yet people are still dying on the streets of this country of gun violence, and something's got to be done about it.
And when the politicians do act, and we're going to get to this in a second, there's a shocking new report revealing $30 billion tax dollars wasted, completely wasted on ridiculous, absurd, idiotic U.S. government programs, and I want to get to that in a second. But so when they do act, they do stupid pork barrel things, you know, backroom deals about completely idiotic programs, and we have a crisis in this country. Nobody's even talking about it. And I got to tell you, I want to have this conversation all the time. And often I'm told it's too early. It's too early to have this conversation because there are people grieving, and I respect. My heart goes out to the innocent person who lost their life, it would appear here, as well as the gunman, is what we're hearing. And look at these people. This is a live picture. These are average Americans, responsible people doing a job, doing a very important job, trying to keep people healthy in this country. And they're sidetracked by this violence. We keep getting sidetracked by this violence. Ellis Hennigan, Newsday columnist. You know, I don't want to get into the gun control debate because people have very strong feelings on either side. And, you know, you're not going to really convince one or the other. It's kind of like the abortion issue or there are certain issues that you can waste your time trying to argue with people because they have their opinions. But something else beyond that has to be at work here, because we have a tendency now to resort to violence. Look at the situation with this Colorado shooter in the school. Oh, he was on the debate team, and he had a little argument with one of the teachers. You know, who can remember back in high school where you might have been on the debate team, which I was, and might have had a little dispute with one of your teachers? Why is it today that that's resulting in gun violence?
I do not believe, Jane, that we are a less moral country than we used to be. We're not an angrier country. We're not a crazier country. Something has changed, and that something, I hate to say it, but it's the proliferation of firearms, especially high-powered firearms. When people get mad, when people get crazy, as they always have, it is much easier for more of them today to turn to deadly force. The angry and the crazy person shoots today, and that wasn't as easily available before. That, Jane, is what has changed.
Well, I want to go back to John Lieberman. I want to get a brief update on what's going on right now in Nevada, in Reno, Nevada. You're looking at live pictures of these folks in this medical building. They're obviously terrified. There's been some horror. Give us a brief update, and then we're going to move on to the next outrage, which is another example of government incompetence. Listen, go ahead.
Jane, what we have right now is there's an active homicide investigation going on right now. Law enforcement pulling surveillance video from both inside and outside. Though they do have the shooter was found on the 3rd floor of this medical center there, dead. They have the shooter. They believe there was only one shooter. They have confirmed now, police that is, that one victim has died, at least 2 others wounded, and right now the investigation starts into, first of all, identifying that shooter who is dead, and then, of course, notifying the next of kin of the victim that is dead. And this investigation still in the very, very early stages. But thoughts and prayers with all of our friends.